Why would Angel Reese want Caitlin Clark in this new league? If Caitlin Clark is there, the spotlight of Angel Reese, it becomes a shadow.
Angel Reese goes nuts after Caitlin Clark snagged that monster deal with Unrivaled, the newbie league stumbling its way into women's basketball, and honestly, Unrivaled might as well have written the book on cluelessness. They started by recruiting every player under the sun, except the one star who could actually put them on the map.
Unfortunately, it's a star that most people don't like.
Yeah, they lined up Ray's A.A. Wilson and a whole squad of almost their players, thinking somehow this mix would magically work. What were they smoking? Finally, someone over there managed to scrape together enough sense to realize, oh right, Caitlin Clark is the only shot they've got at even sniffing success.
They are offering Caitlin Clark $1 million for 2 months of her services. $1 million to carry a new basketball league from January to March.
So they've thrown bags of cash at her while Reese is left watching the Real superstar walk away. With the prize, she is practically boiling over as Unrivaled has finally realized that without Clark, they're nothing more than a desperate cash-burning circus.
Unrivaled is going to feature the 30 best pretend basketball players, with the vast majority of them being anonymous. Now, they do have one star committed to playing in the league.
This so-called league has the audacity to think it's going to change women's basketball, but without Caitlin Clark, they're just, well, forgettable, a 3-genre league. Desperately hoping for a spark to bring it to life, but when your entire lineup is a bunch of who's that players, there's not much hope for setting the sports world on fire.
And in the same vein, they were also liking negative comments about Caitlin Clark from the official Unrivaled basketball Instagram account, during the season. So all of these things were just not a good look.
Let's talk about TNT's wild investment. Here, a 6-year, $100 million deal, and they're banking all that cash on viewership goals. Are they even aware of what they've signed up for? Because without a Starlight Clark, those TV ratings are going to be lower than the temperature in Antarctica. Who's tuning in to watch a lineup that reads like a phone book of nobody's? TNT's basically written a check for a league with no foundation, hoping Clark might be the magical solution. Clark is a powerhouse and Unrivaled knows that she's a ticket machine. Put her name on the roster, and you'd have ticket lines wrapping around the block. She's out here packing arenas like it's the playoffs every single time she steps on the court. Venues actually have to expand seating to handle the crowd she draws in. But does Unrivaled have that kind of pull? Without her, please, their delay isn't just clueless. It's insulting. Clark is the most marketable player in women's basketball, and Unrivaled acted like they could afford to keep her waiting for 3 whole months. They rolled out 26 other names, thinking they'd get any traction without the biggest star in the game. It's like trying to launch a movie without a lead actor. But now they're in full-on panic mode, scrambling to cover up months of neglect with a Hail Mary attempt that screams, please save us. Caitlin, their late-game desperation shows exactly how poorly they've managed the supposed league from day one. And then there's the PR team. If there's an award for the most self-sabotaging social media strategy in sports history, Unrivaled would win it hands down. Instead of drawing Clark in, they actively engaged with negative comments about her.
Unrivaled League needs Caitlin Clark, and they are preparing to offer her a massive deal. But is it all too little too late?
Their official channels went out of their way to back posts undermining the very player they're now begging to join. It's like they couldn't decide if they wanted her on board or out of the picture. But Unrivaled badmouthing the superstar you need isn't exactly a winning strategy. The only thing they managed to prove is that they're completely out of touch with what fans actually want now. If you want to see how to properly woo a Starlight Clark, just look at Ice Cube and his Big 3 League Ice. Cube recognized her worth from day one, no hesitation, no games, just a big, clear offer. He didn't waste time playing around with subpar options, and he certainly didn't play petty games on social media. He put his money where his mouth is, offering Clark more cash than he gives some ex-NBA players, showing Unrivaled exactly how it should be done. But Unrivaled, they're too busy tripping over their own bad decisions to see how far behind they've fallen compared to the Big Three's noon's approach. Unrivaled desperate scramble looks flat out amateur. Now fast forward to today, and Unrivaled throwing money around like confetti. At a parade, they're offering Clark a Lionel Messi-style deal, a cool $1 million for just 2 months plus a potential ownership stake.
Caitlin Clark doesn't need any money. She has plenty of endorsement deals. I think she is totally fine. And I think for her body and for her mental health, it might not be the best thing for her.
This last-minute cash grab is less about appreciating Clark's talent and more about covering up their epic blunder. It's like they woke up and realized they're doomed without her, so they're throwing whatever they can at her feet, praying she'll take the bait. But if they truly valued her, they would have been at her door months ago, not waiting until every other plan had crashed and burned.
So do I think Caitlin Clark should join Unrivaled? I'm not so sure. I think that the money needs to be high. It needs to be in the millions. It needs to be at least what Cube offered her for the big three at minimum.
But even with a boatload of cash on the table, Clark has every reason to steer clear. Unrivaled is a league with no solid foundation, no track record, and quite frankly, no clue. Signing with them risks dragging her name down to their level, a shaky startup with zero credibility. She's got a reputation to uphold, and attaching herself to this train wreck is a risk she doesn't need. Why align her brand with a league that could crash and burn before the season's even over? If anything, the real question here isn't whether Clark should accept the offer, it's whether Unrivaled deserves her at all.
I thought WNBA players didn't like Caitlin Clark.
Now, let's just take a moment to appreciate the absolute comedy that is Angel Reese's reaction to Caitlin Clark's shiny $1 million Unrivaled deal. I mean, talk about a meltdown. Here's Reese forever voicing her financial frustrations with that humble $75,000 salary in the WNBA, who used to act like Clark was just another face in the crowd, but now the envy is practically radiating off her. Clark's bagging $1 million, and suddenly Reese can't hold back. It's like watching the most transparent display of jealousy in basketball history.
So Angel Reese is playing in this league. Dejanay Carrington is playing in this league. Obviously, I feel like that's the biggest name where there is some sort of tension. Whether there's tension between Caitlin and Dejanay, we don't know, but there is still that narrative.
For months, Reese downplayed Clark's influence, probably thinking she'd be just fine without her. But now with Clark getting that fat, Unrivaled check, Reese's story has done a complete 180. The "we don't need Clark" narrative obliterated. She's watching Clark being wooed with perks and a paycheck that could make any WNBA player do a double-take raise, who once rolled her eyes at the mention of Clark, and now it's ironic. No, it's pure comedy, seeing her forced to acknowledge that Clark's market power is on a whole different level.
This is your opportunity to see if you can survive without her. This is your opportunity to see if Angel Reese is enough of a draw to carry a new league. I think the answer's no, but
this is your opportunity. And then there's the massive pay gap with players like A.A. Wilson, who's also probably feeling the sting of being left behind. Sure, Wilson might publicly support Unrivaled move to snag Clark, but let's be real, she can't be thrilled watching Clark leapfrog over her in endorsement deals. Wilson and Reese are both household GS in the WNBA, but that doesn't change the fact that they're not pulling Clark's level of cash raised despite her high-profile stunts and vocal media presence. Can't even sniff the level of deals Clark's landing. Nike, State Farm, you name it, they're throwing money at Clark, and Reese is just left watching from the sidelines. These deals aren't just about income, they're a huge reminder of Clark's clout, the kind that Reese can only wish for. Seeing Clark's face plastered across ad campaigns must be agonizing when your own financial struggles are constantly on blast. Watching the spotlight shine on Clark only emphasizes the gap, and Reese's frustration is written all over her public reaction.
Ice Cube offered Caitlin before the Big Three season began. I commend Ice Cube because you have to think about the type of...
If Clark does go to Unrivaled, the WNBA's in for a real problem. Imagine top players looking at Clark's payday and deciding it's time to jump ship, tired of earning scraps, while she's pulling in millions. The WNBA, which can't afford a talent drain, could see its biggest stars walk away if Unrivaled starts paying up. This isn't just a boost for Unrivaled, it's a flashing red light that the WNBA can't keep up, and it's a direct challenge to their already shaky financial setup.
Here's the potential problem. Caitlin Clark already has money. She signed a $28 million deal with Nike. She's got endorsement deals from State.
But let's not forget, Clark's game is 5-on-5. She's a master of traditional basketball, not some pickup style 3-on-3 format. Throw her into Unrivaled, little experiment, and you have to wonder if it'll even work. Critics already question if 3-on-3 can hold interest, which means Unrivaled betting their whole league on Clark's shoulders. Unrivaled better pray she can carry them, because without her, they're on a fast track to irrelevance. Then there's her earning power. Caitlin sitting on a $28 million Nike endorsement plus deals from brands like State Farm. She's the athlete brands actually fight over. Her marketability is practically unheard of in women's sports.